Is it possible that a number that appears cold, a statistic constructed through methodological rigor, actually conceals one of the most emotional, most political, and most destabilizing stories in the history of modern pop culture? And is the world ready to accept that behind BTS's score of 10,625,128, there is a single name whose role is far greater than has ever been openly acknowledged? That question suddenly became unavoidable when a simple post on the platform X on January 29, 2026 triggered a wave of reactions across countries, languages, and generations, as if the global public had just realized that it was witnessing something far bigger than a monthly ranking. The chart shared by the account at CLSRN001 looked ordinary at first glance: blue, red, green, and purple bars representing media, digital, social, and community metrics, with a single golden line towering far above the rest. Yet that was precisely where the shock lay. The golden line was not merely a symbol of BTS's dominance in the January 2026 Star Brand Reputation Index. It was a marker of a collective force that continues to live on even when its members are not fully present in the public sphere due to military obligations. A score of 10,625,128 points is not only large, it creates a striking psychological distance between BTS and its closest competitor, Jungkook, who trails by more than 3 million points. A reputation gap so wide that it forces industry observers to ask again: how could such a distance be created under conditions that, by conventional logic, should have weakened the group's visibility? For years, the Korean Brand Reputation Research Institute has been known as an institution that employs a strict quantitative approach, measuring consumer participation, media coverage, social interaction, and community activity over a defined period. This means the score is not born of opinion, nor is it the result of momentary sentiment manipulation. It is the accumulation of the behavior of millions of people. Clicks, searches, discussions, posts, and conversations that occurred organically between December 29, 2025 and January 29, 2026. And precisely because of its systematic nature, the score becomes far more unsettling for those who attempt to downplay its meaning. This number is a mirror, and what it reflects is far more complex than simply BTS is still popular. As ARMY fans around the world, including in Indonesia, began flooding the comment sections with emotional reactions, one short reply from the account at Bora_Sunshine7, 10M, suddenly became a symbol. 2 characters and 1 letter encapsulated the collective shock at an achievement that exceeded anyone's expectations. More than 18,000 views, hundreds of likes, and reposts may seem modest by global viral standards, but the resonance extended much further. This was not merely content that was seen, it was information that was debated, analyzed, and quietly politicized within pop culture discourse. Yet beneath the euphoria, another layer of questions emerged, far more complex and for some deeply uncomfortable. If BTS as a collective entity is able to maintain the top position in brand reputation amid a hiatus in group activities, what force is actually sustaining this stability? Is it purely the result of fan-based loyalty built since their 2013 debut? Or is there a more specific, more personal, and more focused catalyst driving this reputation machine? This is where the name Jungkook begins to surface not merely as a member, but as a phenomenon. Jungkook's solo album Golden is not just an individual project. It functions as an extension of BTS's identity in the global arena. Every media coverage about Jungkook, every discussion of his performances, every digital interaction involving his name indirectly flows back into BTS's reputation ecosystem. This is not an emotional assumption, but a structural consequence of how brand reputation indices are calculated. When the media, social, and community components show significant spikes, it becomes difficult to ignore the fact that Jungkook was one of the primary focal points of global conversation during the measurement period. The top 10 Star Brand Reputation table for January 2026 reveals something that is rarely discussed openly. BTS does not merely excel in one aspect. It dominates nearly all components, particularly the community category with a score of 4,453,934 points. Communities do not move without narratives, without figures that trigger emotional attachment. In the digital era, such attachment is often personified, and Jungkook, with his global visibility, becomes the face most easily recognized by the broader public, even by those who are not core BTS fans. When the hashtags #BTS_No1 and #AlwaysWithBTS began trending on X, many viewed them as routine celebrations. But beneath that celebration lay a more intricate dynamic: how a group maintains its collective identity while allowing one member to grow into an icon with cross-market appeal. This is a balance that is rarely achieved, and failure to maintain it often marks the beginning of fractures within major groups. The fact that BTS instead recorded its highest reputation score during this phase indicates that something very different is at work, as the world witnessing a new model of K-pop group power, where solo projects are not threats but reinforcements of collective reputation. Or is this a sign that Jungkook has surpassed his role as a member, becoming a new center of gravity that indirectly pulls the entire name of BTS to the top? These questions have not yet been answered explicitly, but the 10 million score stands as silent evidence that Jungkook's role within the BTS ecosystem is far more significant than has ever been formally articulated. And if these numbers truly reflect the reality of public sentiment, then the greatest surprise may not yet have fully revealed itself. What is visible on the surface is only the final result, not the process that formed it. To understand how BTS's reputation remains unshaken, and why Jungkook has become a key variable in this equation, we must look deeper beyond charts and tables, into the dynamics of symbolic power that are currently reshaping South Korea's entertainment industry. If BTS's brand reputation score of 10,625,128 points is the final result, then the far more important and far less frequently asked question is how that number was structurally formed, and why across nearly every analytical pathway, the name Jungkook continues to emerge as the central node connecting media, community, and global social interaction. This is the point at which data ceases to be neutral and begins to speak about symbolic power, about who truly drives the conversation when the spotlight no longer shines on the entire group simultaneously. The Star Brand Reputation Index is not merely a popularity list. It is a cumulative system for mapping influence, in which every news article, every search, every online discussion, and every community reaction reinforces one another. When BTS leads the media category with more than 2.3 million points and the social category with over 3.6 million points, this signals that the name BTS is not simply being mentioned, but actively and continuously discussed. But who becomes the face of that discussion in the absence of full group activity? This is where patterns begin to emerge, and those patterns are difficult to separate from Jungkook's presence in the global public sphere. Golden is not only a commercial success, it created a ripple effect that extended beyond the boundaries of music. Every piece of coverage about Jungkook, whether in Western media, Asian outlets, or digital platforms, automatically carried the BTS label with it. Within the brand reputation ecosystem, this means a single individual event can trigger an increase in collective scores. Jungkook functions as an access point, a gateway for new audiences who may not follow BTS as a group, but who ultimately engage with the BTS name through him. This phenomenon is rare, and even more rarely acknowledged openly by the industry. When the January 2026 Top 10 table shows BTS far ahead of established figures such as Jungkook, Lim Youngwoo, and even Blackpink, the comparison opens a deeper question about the type of fame we are dealing with. Many of these names possess exceptionally strong domestic presence, but BTS, through Jungkook as one of its primary drivers, operates a form of cross-border fame that does not rely on a single market. This is why BTS's community score reaches a striking 4,453,934 points, a figure that signals intense and sustained emotional engagement. Communities do not react solely to music, they react to narratives. Jungkook, in his solo phase and transitional role as a global artist, offers a narrative that is easily understood across cultures: individual journey, identity exploration, and creative expansion. This narrative merges seamlessly with BTS's group identity, which has been defined from the beginning by stories of growth and emotional honesty. The result is layered resonance, where Jungkook amplifies BTS's story, and BTS provides the historical context for Jungkook's success. Yet it is precisely here that a latent tension emerges, one that is rarely discussed openly. Does Jungkook's dominance in global discourse risk shifting BTS's center of gravity? Or does BTS's strength lie in its ability to accommodate individual spotlight without losing its collective identity? The January 2026 brand reputation data appears to offer an early answer. Rather than declining, BTS's score surged, indicating that Jungkook's visibility does not erode the group's reputation, but instead expands its foundation. ARMY's reactions clearly reflect this dynamic. The hashtags used do not merely celebrate BTS as a group, but also embrace solo projects as part of a shared journey. This represents a form of community adaptation rarely seen in the history of large fandoms. Many groups lose momentum when public focus becomes fragmented, but BTS demonstrates the opposite. Jungkook acts as a catalyst that keeps the conversation alive, ensuring that the name BTS continues to surface within the global flow of information. From an academic perspective, this phenomenon can be read as a shift in the K-pop fame model. Where group success once depended on synchronized collective activity, the January 2026 BTS case suggests that success can be sustained through the distribution of symbolic roles. Jungkook, with his cross-platform and cross-cultural appeal, assumes the role of connector between hiatus phases and full group comebacks. He maintains narrative continuity, ensuring that a pause does not turn into silence. Perhaps the greatest surprise lies in the fact that all of this occurs without aggressive campaigns or massive group-level promotional strategies. BTS's brand reputation score grows from organic interaction, from conversations triggered by individual activity that indirectly reinforces collective identity. This presents a disruptive lesson for an entertainment industry long dependent on scheduled exposure and centralized promotion. Does this mean Jungkook has become the new center of the BTS reputation ecosystem? Or is he simply the brightest reflection of a system BTS has built over more than a decade? The January 2026 data does not yet provide a definitive answer, but it offers strong evidence that Jungkook's role can no longer be understood as merely a part of the whole. He is a variable actively shaping public perception of BTS during this transitional era. And if this role continues to evolve, the implications extend far beyond a single monthly ranking. It touches on how the industry measures influence, how communities construct loyalty, and how an individual can elevate a collective without destabilizing it. The next chapter leads us to the most crucial question of all. What does all of this mean for BTS's future? And is the 10 million score merely the beginning of a much larger transformation? When a group reaches the summit, the most dangerous question is no longer how they got there, but whether that peak can be sustained without losing its meaning. The score of 10,625,128 recorded by BTS in January 2026 appears to be a definitive answer to public doubt, yet it is precisely this number that opens a new chapter filled with uncertainty. Is this merely a statistical victory, or a sign that BTS has entered a new phase in which the very structure of their fame is undergoing a fundamental transformation? The history of pop culture is filled with stories of major groups weakening when the spotlight becomes divided. Yet BTS, through the dynamics visible in the Brand Reputation Index, appears to challenge that pattern. Jungkook, whose role has grown increasingly prominent on the global stage, does not stand as a rival to the group's identity, but rather as an extension that expands BTS's reach into territories that were previously difficult to access. Here lies the most rarely discussed surprise, that BTS's strength does not rest solely in their togetherness, but in their ability to allow individuality to shine without damaging the collective structure. Brand reputation scores are reflections of public perception, and public perception is often more honest than official industry narratives. When millions of digital interactions, media coverage, and community activities are consolidated into a single large number, we see how the public is truly responding to BTS's transitional phase. There are no signs of declining trust, no symptoms of mass fatigue. On the contrary, there is an increase in engagement that indicates the public, and ARMY in particular, does not view this hiatus as a loss, but as a process of maturation. Jungkook becomes the symbol of that process. He represents continuity amid change, a bridge between BTS's past and a future that has not yet been fully defined. In this context, Golden and other solo activities are not merely personal achievements, but narrative tools that preserve BTS's relevance in the global arena. This explains why every time Jungkook's name appears in international conversations, The name BTS rises alongside it, as if the two are woven into a single, inseparable reputation ecosystem. Yet the most crucial question still hangs in the air. Will the public continue to accept this model when all members return to full group activity? Or will this phase be remembered as the moment when Jungkook became the primary axis of global attention? The answer may not be black and white. The January 2026 score suggests that the public is capable of embracing both realities at once, celebrating Jungkook as an individual while still viewing BTS as a complete collective entity. This is where the emotional strength often missed by numerical analysis resides. Brand reputation is not only about how frequently a name is mentioned, but about how that name is felt. BTS, with a long narrative history dating back to 2013, has built an emotional bond that allows for this flexibility. Jungkook, as part of that story, becomes a catalyst that strengthens this bond in an era marked by uncertainty as the global entertainment industry continues to search for a formula of success that can be replicated. The BTS case in January 2026 stands as an anomaly that is difficult to imitate. There is no single strategy, no massive campaign that can fully explain the 10 million score. What exists instead is a complex interaction between individuals, communities, and narratives that have been constructed over more than a decade. And at the center of this vortex, Jungkook stands not as an exception, but as the clearest representation of BTS's evolution. Will BTS maintain its top position in the months ahead? That question will undoubtedly continue to be asked. But perhaps the more important question is whether we are ready to accept that the form of their dominance is now different from before. This 10 million score may not be the end of the story, but a sign that BTS, with Jungkook as one of its key driving forces, is rewriting the definition of fame, loyalty, and collective power in the global era. And when the world finally realizes that the number is not merely a statistic, but a reflection of a much larger shift, one thing becomes clear. What we witnessed in January 2026 was not just a victory for BTS, but a subtle warning that the map of pop culture power is changing. The question is no longer who stands at the top, but how that peak will be defined in the future.